Buff Nation. Man, oh man. What a second half. What a fourth quarter. And Carter, I feel like I might as well just stay up for the kickoff of the Bears Jaguars game here in just a few hours. How are you doing tonight after the Buffs lose? What was a dogfight and a heartbreaker there in the fourth quarter, man.
Yeah, that one stings. It felt like it was right there. It sucks the way that ended with that non-pass interference call. I think that was definitely pass interference. So that's just a shitty way to go out. But yeah, man, injuries, just the way we lost, the storylines heading in. This is a tough L.
Yeah, man, it was tough because like going into the game, a lot of my keys to the game were, of course, like put the ball in Avery Johnson's hands, and I guess when they had to do that, it worked out anyways. um, but I think first off, man, we started out really aggressive. 4th and 7 or 4th and 6, I can't remember. Coach Prime's like, "Screw it, man, we're gonna go for it." I was like, "What the heck?" We end up scoring. Um, K-State ends up then getting the run game off, really, really quickly. And I'll go ahead and pull up the box score, man. But Carter, how did you feel kind of about the first half of how this game was going on after we got up to that 7-0 lead?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of knew going in DJ Giddens was gonna get his. I mean, that guy's a stud. So holding him off was really just never gonna happen. He was gonna get his for sure. But the injuries in the first half is really what was the scary part and kind of the start of the downhill trajectory. And it seemed like it was definitely in reach, like I was still pretty confident going into halftime. I knew we
Yeah.
weren't going to get the ball, but it was not like we were out of it by any means. And this team's been really good at second half adjustments so far this season. So I was feeling pretty good, and they had a chance to win it at the end, just didn't get it done.
Yeah, yeah. I think that one of the biggest disappointments. Hey, and shout out to the Cocaine Willie Pod. Congratulations to those guys getting a 3-point victory. I know they were all there today. But it was disappointing because, of course, Kansas State comes in. They're a very tough team. They got a great run game, and I didn't think that they would do anything really out of the ordinary. I was telling the guys on Cocaine Willie, you guys should come in here and run the ball. Like, don't get away from your identity. They didn't do that, and they ran. I felt like their offense to damn near perfection for most of the game. I mean, DJ Giddens was impossible to tackle on first contact, and I think that's an area where, yeah, where KSU got the better of us because how much does a tackle cost, Carter? How much does a tackle cost against Kansas State? I really felt as if we really had a difficult time wrapping up today.
Yeah, which is a little kind of, I feel like, out of the ordinary for CU. I think we've done a pretty good
Mhm.
job tackling so far this year. Shiloh, really the one that stands out to me. I mean, DJ Giddens had him grasping for air. It was not pretty watching Shiloh try to tackle Giddens.
No.
I didn't think the secondary had a good day at all, covering the pass, tackling wise. Once they got to the second level, it was kind of over from there.
Yeah, I think that kind of comparing this to last year, coming off the bye week, going into UCLA's house, I thought we had a really strong defensive showing. And so my hope was that coming into this game, we were going to see that as well. But as you were alluding to, we had a ton of coverage breakdowns, like that the broadcast was even pointing out. I don't necessarily know what was going on. Obviously when yeah, like Travis Hunter was out most of the game. Of course, that makes an impact on things. Yeah, Shiloh was back for his first game, and I think, yeah, I can already see in the comments. He did not have a strong game, man. He seemed like a liability out there a lot of the times, running into his own guys or taking bad angles, getting juked. It was a really rough game on his part, which was tough to see. But I think what was really killer for this team, and really what it just boiled down to, Of course, like the time of possession, and this actually came back within 8 minutes, so that kind of surprised me. But it was the third and fourth down efficiency for Kansas State, and it wasn't the fact that they were always getting in third and short or fourth and short opportunities, which they did convert on. Um, I mean, a handful of these third downs, I want to say at least three of them were third and long situations to where they're not throwing the ball downfield. They're not even throwing the ball towards the sticks. It's Avery Johnson making a play with his legs. It's Avery Johnson dumping something off in the flat, or it's DJ Giddens or whatever busting out a 14-yard run or a 10-yard run on 3rd and 10. Those types of things were just demoralizing to watch over and over and over again. I don't know what happened with why they took out DJ Gins after he dropped that third down pass, like in the fourth quarter, which then led them to giving the ball to Dylan Edwards. But whenever he was on the field specifically, I mean, they were just so good on third down, and it really extended drives. And I think it really made a huge difference in this game.
Yeah, I have a couple in my notes. One, BJ Green got a big sack and it became 3rd and 14, and
Mhm.
they converted that third down. The next one I have was the one you just mentioned with the Giddens drop. It was 3rd and 8. And obviously they didn't get it, but they should have got it, and that would have been another third down that they converted. So I mean, just stuff that can't happen, that hasn't happened. This defense has been really good all season, and kind of just an anomaly this game.
Yeah. Really quick, want to give a shout out to my friend Mark from Marky Sports sending the 4.99. Thank you. I'm gonna need the coffee tomorrow. So thank you very much. I'm about to fall asleep right now. Um, be sure to tune in to my post games with him on my Broncos channel. We're doing one on Monday. But thank you so much, Marky. Y'all go subscribe to him. He does wonderful content. Um, let's talk about, man, how this truly was just a dogfight, man. Kansas State's running a ton. I mean, they're finding clawing for every yard. I feel like we're kind of doing the same way in a different sense, but man, it was tough to see the amount of injuries, and I was getting pissed off with the amount of injuries on Kansas State's side on that one drive. Man, that was ridiculous. But we have Travis Hunter go down, we have Jimmy Horn go down, and I'm really proud of how the team didn't quit, like continued to battle. Like I felt like we got a good effort from the team. Like they didn't quit at all, but it was just poor execution. And definitely down to the end of that last drive with Avery Johnson throwing that perfect go ball over Preston Hodges' head for the touchdown. Ah, man, you miss Travis Hunter in those situations, don't you?
Definitely. I didn't think Preston had the greatest night tonight, but
Yeah.
injuries, I mean, it sucks. But I will say one position that I would be okay or most comfortable in injuries happening to would be our wide receiver room. I thought Omarion stepped up a lot
Yes.
before he
Mhm.
ended up going down two, and Will, apart from that one drop, but then bouncing back with the touchdown right after. I thought he played good, and obviously DeJounte getting those 2 touchdowns. So injuries suck, and hopefully they're not too long term, and we'll have them back for Arizona. It seemed like they were in good spirits on the sideline.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, when your best player on both sides of the ball, it's like really losing 2 players. With Travis goes down, it's obviously a tough hole to dig out of.
Yeah. And credit to Omari Miller, man. He was so fantastic. Getting put in the lineup after Travis and Jimmy's injury. He was so good. 8 receptions, 145 yards. Of course, he had that 51-yard uh, catch on that. Well, I can't remember if it was, yeah, it was like first and or third. And I don't know, dude. But that was I think the drive that Shedeur ended up throwing that pick right at the goal line. Really tough pill to swallow. But Omari, man, he really stepped up. Will Shepard, had that drop, man, but he ended up making up for it, thankfully, with that touchdown grab. Um, eh, yeah, honestly, man, like the I'll ask you kind of what were your thoughts on kind of the offense, the play calling, personnel, kind of all that. I definitely have some thoughts on our offense, especially in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, your leading rusher tonight has a total of 11 yards. The fact that you are losing a game by 3 when your leading rusher has 11 yards is that's I mean, I guess you could take that as a win right there. Um, I was pretty disappointed in how long it took for Isaiah Gusto to get carries.
Yeah,
And we really didn't see much of Micah Welch. He didn't get a carry tonight, it looks like. I know he was on the
no,
field. I saw him running some routes,
yeah,
but not a carry tonight. But I would just like to see both of them get a little bit more action, especially when you start with Dallin, and Dallin's longest rush is 3 yards. But I didn't really mind them getting away with it because they were finding success in the passing game. But
yeah.
yeah, it's just when you can't run the ball, you can't expect to win very many games.
Yeah, yeah. I was a little surprised because what I feel like I've talked a lot about over the last month is how, we just been going with the hot hand, right? And on those first couple drives, I really did feel like Dallin missed where he should have been going in terms of the holes that were open and running into where the chaos on the line was. Like, did not feel like he had his best night with the vision. And I was surprised. I mean, it must have been not until the late third quarter or early fourth quarter until we saw Isaiah Augustive get some work. And yeah, I just kind of felt like we kind of got away from what we've been doing. That's brought us success in the run game, and that was kind of finding the hot hand, finding the guy who was going to find the holes. I think when you're looking at the stats in terms of the rushing, you're going to say the offensive line had a bad day. Um, and I mean, I guess I just feel like there was more there to realize from both our running game and honestly with Shador's pocket presence. I felt like this was one of the worst games that he's had with his pocket presence. Most of the time, I felt like I forget how many sacks he took this game, but a lot of times it just seemed like he was kind of rolling into pressures, drifting back, kind of getting back into those bad habits. He did kind of get out of those on those last couple scoring drives, which was nice. But those were, it's tough, man. It wasn't like those sacks he was taking; they were, a loss of 6 because of his ability and his never will quit attitude, which is a wonderful quality of his. Sometimes it can backfire to where you're dealing with 2nd and 25. And I particularly remember in the first drive where he killed a drive just based on taking those sacks right there after we crossed midfield.
Yeah, and the intentional groundings too. I mean, there are
Yeah.
so many times where he'd just roll himself into trouble. I would just love to see him. I mean, just do the Brady, dive forward and make it a 3 yard loss, not a 13 yard loss. It
Yeah.
would save them so many yards. But I thought the pass protection started the game off pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think their first couple drives, they Shador had plenty of time, didn't run out of the pocket too much. I thought their pass protection started off really well, and then obviously towards the end of the game, when Kansas State started adjusting and bringing more blitzes and
Yeah.
showing off different packages, they kind of got in trouble and started getting multiple false starts and holding penalties, and then Shador on top of that with the sacks. It ended up being pretty ugly in that front.
Yeah, and Kansas State, they're not typically a team that beats themselves. They definitely got comfortable here in the first half with their running game, and again, what BYU was able to do was get out to a nice, I think, 2 or 3 possession lead by the time halftime hit, and that really took Kansas State out of it in the second half. But I think that they did a wonderful job on just inflicting their will to start the game. Even in a 7-0 hole, they didn't panic and really got everybody comfortable. And Avery Johnson had a couple kind of, those young Avery Johnson moments, but they did a really good job of not putting too much pressure on him. I was honestly very surprised when Chris Kleiman just decided to go for it there on 4th and 6 or whatever it was when Colton Hood picked it off. But man, credit to him. I thought that this sucks, man. I feel like some of these quarterbacks sometimes have their like best games against us, but he was fantastic. I thought a young quarterback playing on the road. I thought he did a really good job, and my Kansas State friends said they will not pick Kansas State to win on the road. They need to see it, and I think they saw that jump in composure this week as opposed to 2-3 weeks ago at BYU.
Yeah, I think going into this game, one of the defense's goals would be to try to force Avery Johnson to throw the ball and not let him run, and obviously not let their running backs run. And even when they did that, they were making throws. I said it earlier. I thought our secondary had a rough game, and that's just credit to their receivers too. I wasn't expecting to see how well their receivers played. I thought they made our secondary. I'm repeating myself again, but it's so surprising. And obviously Travis Hunter being out doesn't help. But their receivers looked a lot better than I was anticipating. And that just all circles back to Avery Johnson as well. I thought he had a pretty solid game and on the road in a tough environment.
Yeah. And when you're playing a tough, well-coached team like Kansas State, you cannot you can't leave points on the board. You can't turn the ball over, especially in the red zone. You can't give them possession starting close to midfield, which I think we did a couple of times. All those things, and I guess like a silver lining is like, hey, we fought back, we took the lead. That's wonderful that we never quit. Again, like I love watching this team, man. I really do feel like they're made of different stuff than what we've seen last year. But it was those big time errors. I think that whether it was extending drives, letting up big third downs, or that red zone turnover, or taking a sack to knock yourself out of field goal range, that's 3 to 6 points right there taken off the board. And that's the difference in a game in which, Kansas State's a very tough, well-coached football team. And I think, man, maybe earlier in the year, we would have had a lot tougher of a time with a team like this coming in our house. I think we played them really strong. I have felt, especially since that UCF game 2 weeks ago, that we're never going to be out of any game remaining on the schedule. It shows how close we can get while we're not playing our best football, while we're not, with some of our top guys. The resilience is great, but we gotta, hopefully, as time goes on throughout this season, finish some of these games a little bit better than how we failed to tonight.
Yeah, in K-State's style of play, they're a team that would like to get up on you early and really not let you get back in the fight just by pounding the rock. So the comeback we were able to kind of make just is a testament to this team's fight. But looking ahead at the schedule, I mean, you could probably say was their hardest game left. I mean, Utah does not look the same as pre-injury Cam Rising. So who knows there? And Oklahoma State, who you were kind of looking at as well, does not look like we thought Oklahoma State could look like. So hopefully we can finish this stretch strong, but a close game, a tough loss. Injuries suck.
Yeah.
Just a heartbreaker tonight.
Yeah. It's just a heartbreaker. We're really close to coming back. And again, it was great to see, that interception by Colton Hood. Tough game for Preston Hodge, man, because you could say he gave up. He gave up the game-winning touchdown, and he also took away a pick six, kind of tripped off Colton Hood there. Maybe some more time left on the clock there at the end of the game helps us, but man, who knows? But yeah, tough day with the defense, communication-wise, just not finishing tackles. We got away from the run. We never tried to find the hot hand. We were all out of sorts, and I've long thought that Arizona is an overrated team. They got what they, in my opinion, what was coming to them today against BYU, which was wonderful to see. But that this game against Arizona, I believe it's their homecoming. They made us their homecoming next week. This provides us with a tremendous opportunity to bounce back. Hopefully, our guys are healthy for it, but I'm expecting us to grow better from this type of game facing an opponent like this. I think the Nebraska loss made us a tougher team, and that's what I'm going to expect with us coming out of this dogfight where it seemed like a lot of people got banged up.
Yeah, and with all the veteran college players and the older players on this team and the staff that we have, it's expected that this team bounces back and has more grit and doesn't fall short of their next games and has a game like they did like CSU after Nebraska. And we look back on the Nebraska game and say maybe that loss was needed, and hopefully we can look back at this game and say hopefully that was needed. And I could see an easy avenue to us finishing the season with 2 losses.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. I think every game that we have on the schedule is winnable, like you said. And again, the execution wasn't there tonight, but I thought I really did feel like the effort was. And in getting that lead there in the fourth quarter, it just slipped away, man. It just slipped away, sadly. Um, well, Carter, I think I might cut this one short, dude. I am so tired, man. Any last thoughts or like things that we haven't talked about, man? I can't even think about it. I'll pull up the box score again.
Yeah, I'm checking my notes, man. Not really. Shout out Tajay McCoy again for getting a
Yeah,
sack. I think he's coming along pretty good. But yeah, man, Nikhil Green, I want to give a shout out to him because he could have had the game saving play if we were to go on to win it, tipping that ball
yeah,
to force their fourth down where we ended up getting that pick. But actually, I got one more thing. I think
yeah.
uh one thing on Shedeur, you look at the box score and this looks like a pretty strong game from Shedeur, but I think this is definitely not one of Shedeur's sharpest games. I think he
No.
had a lot of glaring mistakes. And some of those mistakes really cost us some points and some opportunities to extend some drives.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that that's fair. We've seen better from 2, and, yeah,
Indeed.
I don't think we got his best tonight, although the box score does reflect that he just absolutely killed it. The minus 50 rushing yards, I'm not from Shedeur, I'm not putting all on the offensive line, not in this game, and, uh yeah, just too many what could have been moments just with us not executing, man. So, but like I've said, still very proud of this team, this effort. I think we'll bounce back next week against Arizona, and we should be at the very least. I think we'll be in and playing every team close remaining on the schedule, and I still have very high expectations for this team. I think they're gonna do some damage in this conference, but we probably need to string out a few more wins before we're gonna talk about possibly being ranked again, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking at this game as if we won, we're locked to be
Yeah.
ranked, but we're a little ways away now.
Yeah. Well, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Let's make sure we finish the second half of this season strong. Colorado now 6 games in at 4-2, 2-1 in conference, still fairly in control of their destiny in the Big 12, but we'll have to see what happens. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, especially late night. You'll catch me tomorrow at some point. And Carter, let me know what do you all got going on at Let's Talk Broncos.
Yeah, so we'll have film clips obviously up all week from the Buffs game on the Let's Talk Buffs Twitter account, and then hopefully we'll have at least one podcast for sure this week. Hopefully maybe 2 with me and Joey. But follow me on Twitter at CarterDillon14 and follow Let's Talk Buffs on Twitter.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. This ain't the end of it, man. We got 6 games left. Let's get after it. Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.